They're sitting on a couch. It's usually just 2 characters or sometimes 3 characters. And they're always talking and sitting. They're just sitting in a chair. The pacing sucks. There's no style to anything. It's so boring.
From the concrete shores of Arlington, Texas,
This is the Approximate Podcast
with your hosts,
Jamie French
and Orion Quest.
We're going to ease ourselves in a quiet storm. This last little song from The Goosemen goes a little something like this.
How's it go? That's your fucking face. Hey everybody, welcome to the Approximate Podcast. My name is Jamie French.
Yay.
And we're with my co-host, faithful as ever, Orion Quest.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, shut your face. God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Don't say nothing.
Oh, too late.
Oh, God damn it. How's everybody doing today? How you been doing, Orion?
I'm good. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing good. Hey, you had a gig last night, didn't you?
Yes.
How'd that go?
Went very well.
You had
It was,
you played with, what was the name of the band that you played with last night?
Going Native.
Going Native. And as you describe it, let's make you sound like an asshole on the air. You describe them as the...
I'm not going to say it live.
He describes them as the angry lesbians. It's all female band, except for you.
Yeah, except for me on the keyboards. We've got the Mad German
On Sub Pop Records.
Yes.
No.
On bass guitar, we've got Little Feet LaDonna. On the guitar and vocals, we've got June Cleaver.
They got a website now that you've said everybody's name officially out loud, like a dunce. Now we got to fucking put a description. We got to put their website, and we got to do they got a Twitter or anything like that? Now we got to give them a plug.
It's too late for that. You brought this on yourself.
Links in the description, people. But okay, so the deal was how much am I allowed to say?
On a scale from 1 to 10, 0.
So you had a good gig this
Yes,
time.
it was a great. Actually, the gig last night was awesome.
Okay. How long did you play?
Oh,
What kind of band is it?
4 hours.
Tell the folks.
It's believe it or not, it's keyboard-driven rock and roll.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I've never seen you guys live. This is a keyboard-driven band.
Yes.
So what do you guys all play?
That's
odd.
We play everything from John Cougar to Van Morrison. Who else? We get out.
That's the same guy.
John Cougar, Van Morrison. Oh my God!
You never see him in the same picture.
It's a marvelous night for a moon dance. Right on the scarecrow. My latest album.
The brown-eyed girl lives in a little pink house.
Oh my God! My latest album will be called "Brown Eyed Girl, Blood on the Plow."
But the gig went well.
Oh yes.
Good. Where'd you play?
Tierney's in Louisville.
Sweet. So that's a little gig in Texas. It was a 3-4 hour night.
It was a 4-hour night.
Awesome. Okay, good, excellent, good to hear that. You'd think I'd make it out to my co-host shows more often. He's the drummer of my band, and he plays in a lot of different cover bands and weird one-off projects.
Yeah, but
I never.
You don't like them, so
No, I don't like anything.
Yeah.
I don't like anything, so I never make it out. Except every once in a while when there's a little bit of scratch involved. That's all. That's all it takes. It's just a little bit of money makes the world go round. That's all. And if you want me to come and pay attention to the thing that you're passionate about, give me money. That's all I ask. Just give me money. So here's the subject of today. Thank you guys for putting up so much with the extended intro. We are talking, this is going to be not officially the last of the music shows that we're going to do, but it's officially the last music show that we're going to do before the Aproxapalooza. Next week is this thing that we've been building up to for a few months now.
Yes.
A few months now. The Aproxapalooza, the live ish music show that we're gonna do. It's gonna be a whole deal where I'm playing live music, Orion's playing live music. We got my sister involved in the deal, and our good buddy Cornmo that you've heard on previous episodes. It's just us gonna be playing songs all episode long, and it's gonna be really fun. And we've been building up to this, and so in order to build up to this, the shows from the announcement of the Aproxapalooza to today, we've tried to make all of our Monday shows, the official flagship shows, music themed. And this is the last one until it's, showtime. So what are we talking about today, Orion? What is this music themed thing that we're doing?
Soundtracks.
Oh boy. In what sense? What do you mean? What do you mean by soundtrack?
Well, good, bad, or other.
What,
Your favorites, your not so favorite.
okay, I think more to the point is movies whose soundtracks were written by rock bands or artists. No John Williams score, nope, nothing like that. It's movies whose soundtracks are written by bands or rock people, and
We still do count Danny Elfman as rock people.
No. To be fair to Danny Elfman, I say no.
Why's
I
that?
say, because he's
The moment he left Oingo Boingo was it?
Kinda. According to his story, like the guy there is a definitive split between his tenure in Oingo Boingo and his work as a conductor and composer.
But you'd be willing to negotiate that if Oingo Boingo got back together.
Well, if
Which is not likely, but
not at all. No, not according to Danny Elfman. No, absolutely not. He's so done with being in a rock band, and he has been for years. But the way that Danny Elfman works he is Danny Elfman, the composer.
right.
So he would not count in this. It's Danny Elfman, doesn't count. Like he's on board with again, just stupid example, John Williams, he's an actual composer for scoring soundtracks for movies. So he wouldn't count. But
How does this
but wait, I want to get back to that. If in a miracle, if it happened, if he were to put Oingo Boingo back, it wouldn't happen in a million years. But if he were to put Oingo Boingo back together for the sole instance of recording a soundtrack for a movie, then I could say Danny Elfman. Then I could say that keeps with the theme of the show. The theme of the show is movies. I'm not going to say best or worst because I think you and I have two different lists.
You're right.
We're going to say movies that are predominantly scored by rock bands. So, we'll start with everybody with a happy tune.
Right.
Because you're being much nicer with your list than I am.
Yes.
So we'll start with you and say, what is a good movie that has been scored by a rock band?
Yeah, not only is this a good movie or movies, I'm just going to mention an album. And not only is this a good soundtrack album, but it's if you have an essential set of CDs that you'd be stuck with for the rest of your life, I would suggest this would be one of them. It is called A Kind of Magic from the band Queen.
Son of a bitch. This
let me
almost.
get my data.
I gotta tell you. I'll kill time while you look up stuff. This almost made it to my list because if I'm not incorrect, you're talking about Are you not talking about the Flash Gordon soundtrack?
No,
No?
I am not.
Oh, well, what the fuck is this? A Kind of Magic?
A Kind of Magic came out in '86.
Yeah, but
it
what
has
movie
tracks.
is it related to?
It has tracks from 2 movies.
Because I only know one thing from Queen, and that's the fucking Flash Gordon soundtrack.
Yes, but did you know, my sister, that they also did the entire soundtrack for Highlander?
Oh,
The first Highlander.
Shit, you're right. Holy
Now,
shit.
secondly, did you also know that one of the tracks that was removed was a version of New York, New York, sung by Freddie Mercury? He wasn't happy with the track, but if
Wait. You say it's removed from the soundtrack.
From the soundtrack.
So how do we know about it at all?
Yes. Somehow the producers managed to get a clip of the song. And for you nerds that want to know where it's at,
Oh, yes.
the
do.
Kurgan gets Connor McLeod's lady, and he goes on a rampage in his car through the streets of New York. While that's going on, the main lines of New York, New York is being sung by Freddie Mercury. You'll never find it on any album.
And is it in the movie?
It's in the movie.
So you can't
Yes, you
hear
can
it in
YouTube
the
it
movie,
and find it right now if you want it.
a little clip of it within the movie. I'm
Yes.
sure it's not the whole song.
No, it's not the whole song, just a
Right.
clip.
But we can find the actual New York, New York by fucking Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Which would have made this a gem had they kept it on the album. Now, not only did they do the Highlander.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that because the New York, New York is not on the soundtrack, that is not a gem? It's
No, what I'm
still
saying,
Queen.
this is quintessential Queen, but this would be like a rarity. It would be like a B-side put on this badass album,
Right.
And it would, if you may have had a Japanese import or an import where it had it on it. I have not been able to find it. So if you know anybody that does, call us on the burner line. There was another movie that came out.
Stop. Hold on just a second. Because people are going to see this on the YouTube, and they're going to see me ducking down and ducking down and ducking down. I've dropped my cigarette 3 times while you were trying to make your explanation. I'm so sorry. Just wanted to.
Yeah,
just a
could
little
you hold
break-
to make sure the studio's not on fire? We're going to put up some music.
But I just want to break the fourth wall and acknowledge that you guys are acknowledging that I'm a complete dunce. So. Go ahead.
You're
done.
good.
I'm not done talking about Queen yet.
Neither am I, but you won't let me finish. I can't be finished talking about him. Well, first of all, have you put out the fire? Do you have all your fingers and your toes? Did you find what you're looking for?
About to start a new one.
Oh, all right, good.
I like how in your voice you have that natural. How's that? You got this little flimmy thing in your throat.
Yeah, it's called.
But it's very
It's called
reminiscent.
phlegm.
But it's very reminiscent of your greatest hit.
Oh, that
But
one.
what was
Oh,
it?
no,
you gotta.
you don't deserve that right now.
No, but they do. They do. I don't, but they do. So
Yes,
they get the comparison. The phlegm in your throat sounds like.
Oh, hold on just a minute. I want to introduce it. Mad Max, with Mel Gibson.
Yes.
He has a partner. I don't know what the guy's name is. He plays the goose, and it's he rides a motorcycle.
This is not the Road Warrior.
No, this is not. This is the first one.
This is
Mad Max.
Mad Max,
the
yeah.
first one.
And the phlegm in your throat sounds like.
Anyway, his partner sings this song, and we can't make out the words that he's making, but it goes a little something like this. I don't know what the hell he's singing.
That's my favorite thing that you do. Thank
You know how hard it is-
Yes. And the song that you just heard is exactly reminiscent of the way that he speaks. It's just full of phlegm.
they're chasing after this
I'm
guy
gonna see if
called
I
the
can
toe
replicate
cutter, and
you
Goose
going into
injures
details.
himself on a bike, and Max pulls up to him and says, "Hey, you gonna be okay?" And he says, "Yeah, this guy's let me borrow his truck. I'm gonna take it down the road." He says, "Goose, you gonna be okay?" He says, "Yes, that's me. I'm the Goose, large as life and twice as ugly." Max is like, "What in the hell is he singing?" Later on, it pans to him in the truck, smoke coming out the back. His old beat up truck. He's just mind his own business. Seatbelt over his shoulder, not even buckled in. All he needs is a beer in the other hand.
Such a good scene. But hey, don't move. I see you pulling up your fucking paper. We're not done with Queen yet. Okay, so Highlander soundtrack.
Right.
Queen largely responsible
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
What are the finer points of that? Like, we know, like, the weird goof, you know, that New York was pulled out of the soundtrack.
Right.
Okay, but like, is there? You're doing the positive thing.
Right.
What makes the soundtrack so good? Let me interrupt you. I think obviously, Queen.
Yeah.
How could you lose? How could you lose? But do you think that they did well on that? Do you think that they enhanced the movie Highlander? Or did it seem weird because it was a rock band?
No, it actually. I think Queen basically, laid the foundation for rock bands being in movies. They actually sung about what was going on in the movie, and the first. If you guys remember Highlander at all, the first track on "It's a Kind of Magic" is the first track on the Highlander score, which is called "Princes of the Universe."
Right.
There's also "Don't Lose Your Head." There's "Who Wants to Live Forever." What pain is so close to pleasure.
That sounded neat. Do that again. Do the little cheek thing. Nice. I heard a beat there.
You got far too much time on your ass. What was that?
So much time. But no. Everything you just said, it brings it back to this point. The whole reason that this is a subject on the show is because it's the idea that a rock band would do a complete score and soundtrack for a movie is a very novel idea. And I think it's important to point out that Queen, amazing band as they were, isn't it odd that somebody would just, like the producers, they would just choose to have a rock band score an entire thing? Like, when you're in the business, you have your druthers of who you can score your film. And then instead of going, well, no, I want this person or that person, again, I'll keep it simple and go, well, I want John Williams. Instead of doing that, you say to yourself, or you say to the people that fund your movie, now get this, I want Queen to do the music, all of the music for this movie that I'm trying to put together, and then sells the financial backers on that fact. I think that's what makes this subject so fascinating, is that that's even a thing that happens. And when it turns out well, it turns out well. In the case of Queen, I have the other side of that story. But you were about to say something before I interrupted 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. I'm glad you still kept it on Queen, because there's always the Flash Gordon soundtrack,
Sure.
which Queen had complete and total control of the entire soundtrack.
Which was going to be one of my picks, but Queen's so good that they didn't fit into the picks that I wound up with.
Oh, with regards to A Kind of Magic, they came up with another song that had nothing to do with the Highlander movie, but it was so good they put it on another movie called Iron Eagle. It was called One Vision.
Shit, yeah, but that was just a one-off.
Yes, that was just a one-off, and I believe that was like late '86, early '87.
Wow, that brings that. I remember reading about that. Wow,
So-
what an obscure thing.
Why don't you hit me with what you got there, Jamie?
Oh man, so we're gonna start with some bad ones. On my side of the fence, it's all bad. It's nothing good, because that is inherent in novelty. When a director or producer picks, when they say they have that gumption to say, well, I want to pick a band to do my soundtrack. Well, it could go one of two ways. Either it's completely inspired because the script is so good, like they really believe in it, and they think that a band would completely flesh out their vision. Or they're doing a cheap cash grab. Or, in the case of two of my picks, it's a band that wants to put a movie together and they want to score it themselves. And you know that's bad news, because when somebody comes from it with that angle, it's all an ego project and things probably won't turn out well. It takes a lot more than just wanting to do a movie to make a movie well. You can't just be in love with the idea of just doing a movie and then you're a rock band that says, oh, and also we're gonna score it. That's just an ego trip. They're just wanting to put their music out there. Their brain is messed up. They're flustered. They're getting too caught up in their own fame and thinking that they can drag it out into movie making. And it never turns out to be the case. And those are largely the kinds of movies that I pick from my side. So to get to it, we'll start with one of the worst. Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Rip and destroy. Rip.
So poor Kiss. Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. One of the worst movies ever made. It's almost impossible to watch unless you have like a riff tracks laid over top of it. You know, you need that Mystery Science Theater treatment in order to get through it. It's a really, really, really bad movie. It's brief synopsis. It's a movie where really bad movies are hard to describe because usually they're bad movies because they don't have plot or story. This is one of them. A boy and a girl go to a theme park. It's in this case, it's actually in real life. It's Magic Mountain out of California, and they go to a theme park and they're just there to have a good time. And they are told that Kiss is gonna play. Okay, and the owner of the park, there's this big kerfuffle with there's like a weird kind of insurance scam. And they know that Kiss is, like, the owner of the park knows that Kiss is going to play. And what he does, and here's where everything falls right off the rails, he in order to get insurance money, this is for, a for-profit, classic evil guy. It's a for-profit thing, this guy. He says he's going to put a... sounds stupid even saying it. He's gonna put a robot version of Kiss together, like a robot, to fuck with the audience and make it a disaster, and then hold Kiss responsible for that, so he can make money. It's a big insurance scam.
That was Robot Kiss, correct?
It's really bad. It's really bad, and I'm sure I got it fucked up. I'm missing details. Please go, by all means, go to YouTube. You can find Kiss versus the Phantom of the Park and find it. And even my shitty synopsis of what the thing is about will not match how shitty the actual plot is and the actual story is. It was so bad that Gene Simmons, in an interview in 1989 for, I think, Circus Magazine, said that that he thought that when somebody asked him about Kiss versus the Phantom of the Park, he said, "Oh, dude, that's on par with. We would put that on par with Plan 9 from Outer Space." Like we don't want anything to do with it. They tried so hard to separate themselves from that movie.
In fact, the guy that held the interview was never heard or seen again.
But okay, so let's get to the soundtrack of the movie. The soundtrack was, of course, done by Kiss. But in the American version, this was a made-for-TV movie at the time. The American version of it featured like 4 Kiss songs, and they were all B-sides, mostly songs from their individual solo albums, the Ace Frehley album, the Peter Criss album, the Gene Simmons album. They all had like individual songs that were to go on and like flesh out the music for this thing. Really shitty, really awful. But in the European version of the movie, the entire score was fleshed out by all kinds of classic Kiss songs. And it's usually the if you're gonna find this, try to find the European version because it's you know, if you're into Kiss, not a fan, but if you're into Kiss, that's the version of this really shitty movie you want to watch because it is front loaded, back to back. It's all the classic hits from Kiss plus all of the solo work that they did, and that's the only good part of the movie, assuming you consider Kiss to be a good band. So if you like Kiss at all, you go check out Kiss versus the Phantom of the Opera, watch the European version, listen to all the songs, and watch it against this really shitty movie. Good luck to you. But it's really, really bad, and it's so bad that even the members of Kiss, the most the most sellout, all about marketing, fake, just bullshit band there is, takes their name. Kiss sells coffins with their logo on it, and they will not put their name on Kiss versus the Phantom of the Opera. That should tell you something. They would rather see you dead in a Kiss logo than acknowledge this shitty movie. So you can go check that out. So that's my first really shitty pick. I got a decent pick, but I got to go through another shitty one before I get to it. So I'm going to pass it off. We're going to try to make it, we're going to go good. We're going to pass back and forth from good to bad. I'm the bad side, Orion's the good side. Orion, what's the next movie that you have? Speak for the good people.
1981.
Oh.
Heavy Metal.
Son of a bitch, you're not wrong. You are not wrong there.
Although there were some orchestral parts in some of the battle scenes and stuff like that. The entire movie was driven by a different artist.
It was, but wasn't that the point? Like, I was trying to find. Now we're gonna go over Heavy Metal because that's a strong choice. But wasn't the point of this theme, tonight's theme, to be movies where the producer or director said, "No, I want a rock band to do this." With your choice, Heavy Metal, the whole point to have heavy metal bands. It wasn't an afterthought.
No.
Okay, well, go ahead.
To understand heavy metal, you have to understand the comic book and the movie.
Yes.
It was just, they just thought that would be convenient to have heavy metal bands on to do it.
I mean, they could have scored it. They could have scored it with classical.
They did score it, like I said earlier. In some of the battle scenes, there were some orchestral parts. But Devo is not a heavy metal band by any means.
No.
Journey is not a heavy metal band by any means.
But it also came out at a time where it came out so early in that, 81? 81. It came out at a time where heavy metal had not gained, like the phrase heavy metal had not gained its full identity.
Right, but it was on the way.
When Sammy Hagar, your first fucking song is heavy metal in 1981, that's not really heavy metal. It's
more hard rock.
Basically hard, like barely hard rock. But heavy metal, the phrase, was such a new term and such a fantastic term in 1981. Nobody had heard that. It was coined by Dick Clark.
Right.
And American Bandstand. And the first time it was ever mentioned lyrically was by Steppenwolf. In Born to Be Wild.
Right.
Heavy metal thunder was the first time in popular culture that the phrase heavy metal had ever been heard. And in 1981, to have what should have been a quote-unquote heavy metal score was largely supplied by hard rockers and folks like Devo, folks that didn't even fall under the guise of what we now know, what we now all have accepted as heavy metal.
Right.
You say heavy metal, you think the lightest you think is like Iron Maiden, you know?
Right.
But in 1981, it almost seems like anybody that would join up could be counted in the soundtrack and be classified as heavy metal.
It also had a lot to do with the songs and the scenes. For example, "Reach Out and Take It" by Cheap Trick is on the heavy metal soundtrack.
Do you know which scene that was?
Stern.
Where did that come in the movie?
He's nothing but a low good, something. Killing's too good for him.
Look, to be honest with you, from the heavy metal, I've seen it a few times in my life. I like the studio that put it out. They are also responsible for doing a favorite movie of mine that I mentioned in a very early episode called American Pop. Same studio did that with the rotoscoping. But from heavy metal itself, there's only two scenes that stick out to me. And one is the airplane scene. World War II, you remember, I'm talking about the zombies and everything. Yep. And then there's kind of a narrative that flows over the entirety of heavy metal where you're following this girl who becomes a warrior over the whole thing. And there's, the heavy metal is an anthology. It's very much like Twilight Zone movie, where it's little short stories that are connected by an overall theme. And I remember the chick's theme where she becomes a warrior and stuff. And I remember the airplane scene. What other things am I not thinking of that I can't quite remember?
You're not thinking about the cab driver who, well, first of all, the device that they're after is an amulet called the Lochnar.
Right. They got a MacGuffin. This is a MacGuffin movie.
Yes. Let's see. It went from the cab driver to
now that you're saying cab driver, I'm starting to remember it a little bit. Yeah,
that was the one with Journey.
Okay,
and it also had the mob rules on it.
Journey, heavy metal. Right. Journey.
It went then to a young kid who became Den. Big bald-headed dude. Den.
Right. Well, wasn't that voiced by John Candy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what if I don't bring you the Lochnar? You die, she dies, everybody dies. Sounds like a good idea to me.
Just so everybody knows that what we're talking about, because there's no context for what we're talking about. Please, again, this is another thing. You can go onto YouTube. Just type in heavy metal movie.
Or type in Den, heavy metal Den, D-E-N.
Right, if you want to find individual scenes so you have some context for what we're talking about, yeah, please do that.
It then goes to the pilot. And then it goes from the pilot out into space back there with Stern. No, I'm sorry, it goes to Stern. Then it goes to the pilot. And then it gets picked up by the ship with these two weird aliens and this other lady. And then finally it ends up with your girl who becomes the warrior.
Right, absolutely.
But those were all great. Those were all great songs.
What was your favorite?
Oh, The Veteran of 1,000 Psychic Wars.
Jesus Christ, what is that? Who's that by?
I believe that's Blue Oyster Cult.
Blue Oyster Cult.
You see me now, the veteran
again.
Of 1,000 Psychic Wars. I've been living on the edge of so long, where the lanes of limbo's torn, and I'm far too old to look at and far too young to see. Wounds are all I'm made of. I don't know if there's anything left of me. Wait for it.
Again, that's just another example, though, of like this weird thing. Like, you got to take this into context. Blue Oyster Cult. they're often cited as pioneers of heavy metal. But when you think of the word heavy metal, Blue Oyster Cult doesn't ring in your head. You know, it's just one of those things where 1981's movie, Heavy Metal, is made up largely of bands, with a few exceptions like Dio. I mean,
Right.
that's just new wave. That's just way old school new wave. Largely made of bands that are now, instead of being referred to as heavy metal, which they were at the time, are now seen in like kind of a reverence as pioneers of a burgeoning hard rock scene that would eventually become the idea that we know as heavy metal. But at the time in 1981, that was as hard as it got. Now we know better. We know that bands like Iron Maiden, like the whole new wave of British heavy metal, we knew that they existed since the mid 70s. We knew that thrash was an oncoming thing in 1981 in its very burgeoning days, but still that it did exist. You know, there was very heavy music, but as famous as we think of those bands now, your Slayers, your Testaments, your Megadeths, your Metallicas, as big as we think of them, in 1981, you got to keep in mind, those bands were still playing clubs. You know, they were garage band type, like they were just starting to make it. So they never got to be considered heavy metal in 1981. The term heavy metal came out long before the sound we know as heavy metal today. And so what you got was a bunch of Sammy Hagar and what other bands were there? We keep mentioning Dio, which was obviously not. Oh, was Lita Ford on there?
No.
No, not Lita Ford.
Oh, who else? Let's see. We got
Journey.
I can find them. Give me just a
But
moment.
you know what? What passed for heavy metal in 1981 was largely a bunch of stadium rock, what at the time they called corporate rock. But that was, you know, that's... Even though the movie was called Heavy Metal, the producers and directors of that show didn't dig deep and try to, you know, it wasn't such a connected world that we have today. And so they didn't dig deep enough to get the burgeoning actual heavy metal, that thrash, you know, that chunky kind of metal that we know of today. So they went with what was popular. And so you get your Sammy Hagars and your... What?
The heavy metal soundtrack had 16 tracks on it.
Please, by all means.
Sammy Hagar.
Yep.
Jerry Riggs, never heard of him.
Right.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Obvious.
Devo. Cheap Trick. Taking a Ride on Heavy Metal. That's the airplane one.
I'm
Don Felder.
hearing rock bands and slightly hard rock bands.
It gets better. Nazareth.
Whoa. Carry On My Wayward Son? No, wait, that was Kansas. Sister Christian?
No.
What's Nazareth do?
Hair of the Dog. Now
That
you're
was their
messing
big-
with Love Hurts.
That's their big claim to... Oh, Love Hurts. That's the thing I'm thinking of. Yeah, heavy metal.
Wow, it gets better. Donald Fagen is on here.
Jesus.
Grand Funk Railroad.
Nope. Who did Now You're Messing with the...
That's Nazareth. That's Nazareth.
Oh, okay, that's what I was thinking.
It's called Hair. I think it's called Hair of the Dog.
Okay, he got me. What else? Who else was on there?
Oh, Black Sabbath. That's Dio's Black Sabbath. They did the Mob Rules.
Oh, close. Now we're getting close to the actual feel of heavy metal. Close.
Stevie Nicks.
Nope. I don't want to see a little twirly bird singing hippy dippy shit. That's not heavy metal.
That pretty much covers it.
Jesus Christ. You want me to get to my next bad one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So it's it is. Well, I'll give you the. I'll let me see if I can have you figure it out. All right. It's the Bee Gees.
Oh no.
Hey! Don't shit on the Bee Gees, man. Let me hold on.
I can only think of one thing.
Oh yeah, I can
One
probably
thing.
make you think of a second. Hold on.
Oh, you don't have
Hold
to.
on. I haven't said the
Allow
second
me.
part of this equation.
Allow me. Peter Frampton.
Son of a bitch.
Oh.
Son of a bitch. You fucking nailed it.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Well, get ready, ladies. We're gonna be in for a bumpy ride.
It's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Jesus. I can't even say it. It's so embarrassing. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
The movie.
The movie. The fuck. Old people that are tuning in, you're already shaking your heads in disapproval. You know what? Before I get into details, the audacity. The audacity. No, because here's a quote. Here's a quote from wasn't Barry Gibb. Name the Gibb brothers.
Bobby, Johnny, Ricky, and Mike.
It was one of the lesser Gibbs.
It was one of the lesser Gibbs.
Said it might have been Barry. Let's just fudge it and say it was Barry. Barry said in a press release to, I believe it was Circus Magazine.
Yes, Barry Gibb on the #1 quintessential heavy metal magazine, Circus Magazine. He said in a deep interview.
But there was a quote, and I'll paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me. But he basically said, I'll get as close as I can. He said, the movie came out in 1977?
Yes.
He said, so the Beatles are long since passed, 6 years past. They broke up in 1971. He said to the publication he was talking to that the Beatles are dead, and once we get done with this, again, I'm paraphrasing, but once we get done with this movie, nobody will ever have known that Sgt. Pepper's ever existed. The audacity.
Wow.
The vile. And here's what's really sad about that.
Well, how did he say it? Did he say it in a sad...
I wasn't there, and I
Yeah.
can barely quote the quote, let alone name the publication. So I don't know how he said it.
I was going to go online and try to find Circus Magazine to see if we could...
No, I mean, look, if we really wanted to, if we wanted to waste everybody's time, we could pull it up on the internet. We got one of these little flimsy pads. You know, we could do it. We're not gonna. Here's what we're gonna do instead. We're gonna fucking tear this fucker apart. This is really sad because the Bee Gees are one of those bands. They're like ABBA. They're like on the surface. If you're new to it, it's easy. I could, from a very contemporary mindset, looking back in the past, you could say ABBA or the Bee Gees and go, ugh.
Just another niche band.
Yeah, just another one of these. But if you just took a second to really listen and get beyond your own fucking headspace, and, you know, this takes a little age to get there, but once you get to a point where you can appreciate the band, do look into them, because both the Bee Gees and bands like ABBA are completely worth checking out, and were so big for a reason, and it wasn't just because of how novel they were in and of the time. You know, the cream rises to the top, and the Bee Gees were one of those bands. But for as much as that I will defend the Bee Gees, I will also say that that was a really dickhead move. Not to just say what Barry or other Gibbs said, but the fact that they did it at all, and that they pulled other people into it. This was a very large project.
Yes.
They pulled in Peter Frampton. They pulled in Steve Martin. They pulled in fucking George Burns. Like, none of this project makes any sense. And I guess it's like the kind of thing that could only happen in the exact time that it happened. but they made a really horrible movie based like they tried like okay, so the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was not a theme album. It wasn't. You could read it that way because
it was just a collection
so
of
open.
songs.
It was just a collection of really like nobody ever heard these kind of arrangements. Nobody ever heard this kind of instrumentation. This was new for the time, and it the Beatles exclusively owned it. It could only come from these four men, and it was a big deal because it was so special. But because it was so open-ended, people started reading things into it, trying to make it like a concept album, thinking of it that way, and it just wasn't fair. And I think the Bee Gees got too fucking ahead of themselves, and I don't know what their deal was. I don't know what. I mean, we can only guess as to what their reasoning was for even attempting this, but they took it upon themselves 6 years after the Beatles disbanded to make a concept movie, let alone album. A concept movie based on what they thought was a concept album and try to manufacture a narrative that encompassed the Beatles album. And it was complete hogwash. First of all, going back to what I said a little while ago, this is one of those cases. This is why this is so bad. This is one of those cases where they weren't concerned with telling a story. They took the Bee Gees seem to have taken, and again, I can't tell you personally from them why they did this, but
I have a pretty good idea.
This is why they took a hot property. They were a hot property, and they tried to make something marketable out of it. There was no real concern about telling a story. There was no filmmaker's love of trying to make a thing that was viable and entertaining or thought-provoking. This was a complete marketing scam from a band that I vouch for. You know, everybody has moments of weakness, and I believe that the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie was a creative, personal, and financial moment of weakness on their part as a group of folks that were trying to create something. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What?
Oh no, I was just when you said I can't fathom why. I can fathom why. I like to refer to it as Boogie Nights syndrome.
What's that?
It's Dirk Diggler becomes so popular that he thinks he becomes better at other things that he has no business being good at. He starts out as just a guy that does some stuff for some money, doing some porn. Well, he becomes popular and wins some awards. Well, with his ill-gotten gains, he goes into a studio and says, you know what? I'm going to do a remake of The Touch. So you've got him in there. You got the touch. You got the power. A great song by Stan. I think it's Stan Kirsch.
Are you saying more or less that this is just a case of somebody getting caught up in the pomp and circumstance of their situation, rather than maintaining the whole reason why they got into it?
Yeah.
You know,
I got this ideal. Since the Beatles, since we can't pitch it to the Beatles, they're no longer available.
right?
I've listened to Sgt. Pepper's, and what I will do is
real quick, just to make clear to everybody, not a Beatle involved. Not
right. So there's no way we can get the Beatles to do this. Well, what do you have in mind, son? A musical.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean a musical? They did Yellow Submarine. No, not just any musical. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Are you crazy? What? Listen to me out. Listen. Hear me out.
Shh, listen.
I might not have the Beatles, but I have arguably the American version of the Beatles, and arguably the second greatest band of all time.
Hold on.
Shut up.
Australian.
Oh, thank
Bee
you.
Gees.
Thank you from Australia.
Just trying to help you.
these second. That's what you get. This
Hey, Springy. Springy for a comeback appearance after 7 episodes. How you doing? Okay, go ahead. So
I've got the second greatest, import into the States. I bet you for the right price they would take on the mantle of being the Beatles. And they won't be the stars. They'll be the co-stars. I've got a guy that can do Billy Shields. Who? An American. Who? This rock star.
Peter
Frampton. You mean yes, Peter. You like it, dude.
Hey, oh, that's awesome. He feels like I do.
He's hey, come on. Frampton Comes Alive, greatest concert album of all time. I can get him on board. And when I start pitching other bands, you mean there's going to be other bands?
Yes,
work
bands
with
like
me. Work with me on this.
I got a lot of ideas in my head. Bands like Steve Martin.
Hold on just a moment. If I told Steven Tyler from Aerosmith he could get Aerosmith to come out, really?
You brought up a really good point. Keep going.
I can talk to the guys from Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're one of the most prominent funk bands in the States. But I bet you they would do a badass rendition of "Got to Get You Into My Life." You think it would work for the right money and the right pushing? We could make this the greatest musical of all time. Once again, Dirk Diggler syndrome.
Right.
That's what happened.
Yep. So here's the deal. One of the things I was going to bring up about this particular soundtrack for this awful movie, again, go to YouTube, look at I don't even want to get into the details of the plot or anything. It's not worth it. You will be horrified on your own by going to YouTube and looking up Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie. Here's the important thing. The entire album, the entire soundtrack, the album of the soundtrack, was all rock bands. That's the thing. It falls in line with the theme. It was mostly the Bee Gees, some Peter Frampton, and just a few, just a tiny bit of offshoots.
Right.
Bands I can't name right off the top of my head. Solo artists I can't name right off the top of my head. You can just go to Google and you can find the rest. But here's the deal. Out of all of the music, and it came out, the soundtrack of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie,
right,
was a double album. It was a 2-sided disc on each disc. So you had 4 sides of songs. A lot of fucking songs, mostly done by the Bee Gees. But with a few outliers, very few of the songs that came from that soundtrack did anything, made it anywhere. Except for one. One made it, you're probably listening to it right now. It was Aerosmith's Come Together. Right. And I would almost put money on the fact that people probably know their version of the song better than the Beatles' version of the song. It was a huge hit for Aerosmith on this stupid bullshit movie that did not need to ever be made or seen. The one thing that humanity got out of it was Aerosmith's Come Together, and it was a pretty decent, solid version. Now, you'll never beat the Beatles version, of course, and everybody knows the Beatles version, but the Aerosmith version is the version that got mainstream FM rock radio play. It really did. And so, if anything, the movie failed spectacularly, critically, and it did not make its money back. But if we got anything out of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, anything, it's Aerosmith's contribution. So that's me with my other shit post. I got one more to go. Orion, do you got one more positive one?
Yeah, give me just a moment.
Hey, sure, take your time. Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? We're killing a little bit of time here. This might get edited out. I don't know. I may not. I may. It all depends on how much I've had to drink when I sit down and edit this podcast. So we'll see. I really had fears that we were going to run short this week. It looks like we're running a little bit long, but that's fine. You know, we're just about to break the hour point. And so that's amazing to me. But,
Okay.
we got something? What do we got?
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. What do we got? Oh, no.
I had to
It was
add.
cough-worthy.
See, you have come up with some bad and awful movies, and
Oh, and I got one more.
I got one that'll trump this one. You'll shut down the show on this one.
Okay.
Oh, I just need to know one more thing. I just want to know the year that
Okay.
it came out,
Take your time, man. I'll kill it. I'll kill time.
and it was. Oh
Yeah.
yes,
What?
1980.
Oh,
Here
boy.
we go.
This is a reoccurring theme here. Okay.
This is a movie
Oh, boy.
that no matter this was designed for the band that they were marketing, and it features their one most important hit. The name of the movie was in 1980, and it's called "Can't Stop the Music."
Huh.
It features the stars and the producers of the soundtrack,
Oh, boy.
the Village People.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. You're going to have to start from the beginning, man. I did not even know.
I can't begin to explain how somebody said,
Was it the band?
I gotta look. I know that I know that Sergeant Pepper's didn't go out too well, but I got another idea. Hear me out.
Was it the band's idea? Or was it some
No, it was
fuck-off
a
writer's
market-
idea?
So the guy comes into the room and he plays YMCA, to which Mr. Big Boss is like, I understand it's a cassette with YMCA in it. Why are you bringing this in my office? So he cuts off the cassette and says, listen to me. You hear me? I know that
You hear me?
I know that Sergeant Pepper's didn't go too well, but we're looking at the next big thing, and I'm talking Blockbuster. A cassette with YMCA in it is the Blockbuster. No, it is not. I can get the members of the Village People together. We can put a movie together called Can't Stop the Music. It is the story of how the Village People were formed. I can get Steve Gutenberg. It gets better. I can also get
Wait. Didn't Disco not die? Disco died in like 1978, didn't it?
yes.
And he can get Steve Gutenberg.
I've got to. I've. Listen to me, boss. 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 Listen to me, boss.
Oh, yeah.
I could get Steve Gutenberg, and guess who else I can get?
Oh, hey.
I can get Mr. Olympian himself, Bruce Jenner. I can get him in the movie.
That's a manly man.
I could get him in the movie.
That's a big name.
I can get with the lead singer of the Village People. For the sake of discussion, we will call him the cop.
You saw me so far. I'm kind of liking it now. What do you got? What else?
What we'll do is we'll have Bruce Jenner and Steve Gutenberg work in an advertisement agency, and they're looking for things to market all sorts of different products.
Masculine models for all time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Steve Gutenberg will tell his friend, hey, if we need people to shoot a video or make a song for us, I got some friends down in the Lower East Side that we can go meet. So they go down to the Lower East Side with all the cool music playing. They meet the cop. The cop is singing at a club, and After he sings his song, they get with the cop, and the cop says, "You know what? I can't do this by myself. I can market whatever you want us to market, but I'm going to need some more guys." So they put out basically a marketing campaign to find the rest of the village people. So while they're working on it, they see a guy that's doing some maintenance and some construction work on the new building that they're working on. And while everybody's failing left and right, the guy comes up to the mic and he says, "You should sing it like this." Now you've got the construction worker. One guy comes in and biker stuff, and he goes and he sings opera.
Just say fucking leather fag. You can say leather fag.
Yes.
Also, you know what? It's safer if I say it.
It might be much safer if you say it.
Leather fag. They found a leather fag.
He comes in and he sings like a bird, and so they finally get the other guy and they form the village people, and they work on the show. The movie shows them doing their dance routines, working on songs. And let me give you a list of some of the songs they do.
Oh, this is gonna be fucking classic.
Here we go.
Jesus Christ, I never knew this existed.
Can't Stop the Music. They do a song called Liberation. They do Magic Night. At one point in time, Milk was having its lowest ratings regarding to the Better Food and Drug Administration, and so the village people decided to put their own song together called the Milkshake. Please, in the name of all that's holy and dear, go to YouTube and type in Village People Milkshake, and watch this monster drive itself into the ground.
Link in the description. Yes.
Oh, yes. There's YMCA. They're ever popular, which I honestly believe, in theory, I believe they made this entire movie just to do this song.
Holy shit.
They built this entire movie just to make
what was basically a proto MTV video.
Exactly. Yes. They've got a song called "I Love You to Death," and the hits just keep coming and coming.
Oh boy.
So that's my movie. It's like, yeah, we could have lived without that one.
Ah, shit. Man, I'm so going to look that up. That is fascinating. Okay, so okay, well, let's ease into it. I'm going to end this one with with one that I have a soft spot in my heart for. We're talking about movies where bands make the score. Okay? My last pick is it's one that is earnest, okay? It's unlike the other two, like Kiss, Phantom of the Park one. It's unlike Sgt. Pepper's one. It's still a very, very bad movie, okay? But it's, out of the three that I picked, it's the most earnest, okay? It's the most, their heart was in the right place kind of one. And that is the movie Xanadu. Xanadu. And it features, it's a very weird, almost art house kind of almost indie movie, you know, for the time that it was put out. It was 1981, I believe. Mm-hmm. And just real quick synopsis. I'm not going to get into details because we're not going over details for this. We just want to go over the soundtracks. But the movie is a fantasy, and again, like right off the bat, that's not good for movies. Fantasy movies are hit or miss, and Xanadu was a big miss. It was a fantasy movie that was about an artist who painted a bunch of like murals and record cover albums for a record company, but he wanted to do more. He wanted to be an actual artist. He wanted to go out and make a name for his own and not do a bunch of commercial work. And he met up with a guy that ran a club, okay? and wanted to have him do kind of a mural for the club, like kind of put a big old painting on the side of his building. And I'm not even actually going to go too further with it. I think you should, again, this is another one of those recommendations where you go to YouTube, watch the movie, go to YouTube and look up Xanadu, spelled with an X. Links in the description.
Hey,
But
didn't this have Gene Kelly's last performance in it?
yes, it did. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
But anyway, go check out the movie for context. But the important thing is that the whole thing was scored by two folks. It was Jeff Lynne of ELO and Olivia Newton-John. If you don't know who those people are, if you're young and you don't know who I'm talking about, fucking go look them up. Yeah, ELO, Olivia Newton-John. And when they put out the soundtrack for the album, it's really weird because this is another one of those double albums. And on one side, you got it was all ELO because of a record contract. They were on Jet Records. And on the other side, it was all the Olivia Newton-John songs, which was on, I want to say Capitol Records. I could be completely wrong there. Doesn't matter. You'll find out. And they wouldn't appear on each other's side of the album because of contractual obligations. But then the entire thing was put out somehow by Maverick Records. And it's really weird. But the thing is, there was a lot of, from this movie, there was a lot of hits that came from this. Xanadu being one of them.
I'm Alive.
I'm Alive, yeah. So we get ones from Olivia Newton-John. We get ones from ELO. But the thing about this movie, what separates it from the other shitty movies that I was talking about, is that when this movie was put together, Xanadu, it was an honest effort. It wasn't coming out of bullshit. It was a guy wanted to put the movie together, and he contacted the best bands and the best artists that he knew and said, I think this movie will work so well if you guys were to do not only the soundtrack, but the actual score to the movie. And Jeff Lynne was like, well, fucking, I'm in ELO. I'm very segmented in my productive efforts. I have time for this. I have 6 months for this. I'm not doing anything else. Okay, I'll do it. And yeah, and I also want to get, I think fucking Olivia Newton-John would be perfect for the fantasy feel of this movie. And Jeff Lynne from ELO said, oh yeah, I could completely find a way to sculpt her voice into the sound of what I can do. Yeah, we can totally do that. Let's do it. Contacted Olivia Newton-John, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm on board. I've only done fucking Grease. Please. I got Let's Get Physical and Grease. So I'll totally do whatever you want me to do. Oh, you want me to work with ELO? Love ELO. Yeah, I'll totally. And so it all came together and worked out totally perfectly. And they did some really great songs. I'd say 80% of the soundtrack that came out from Xanadu became top 10 number one hits. The movie, on the other hand, was not so good. It was the idea, the basic concept was too far into left field, and the production quality was lacking. They had a limited budget, and most of the money that they spent on this movie was put into ELO and Olivia Newton-John. And the soundtrack speaks for itself, not only in quality, but in actual sales numbers. Like the proof is in the pudding kind of situation. The songs from Xanadu were immense, and you should absolutely go check out the Xanadu soundtrack. But the movie itself, not big shakes. It was critically panned. It did not make its money back. And that's the kind of ongoing theme with all the movies that I picked, is that I picked shitty movies, Xanadu being one of them. But the saving grace of Xanadu is that the creative output musically was immense and tremendous and whatever other things that our current president says. But yeah, so that's my last pick, and I'm trying to end on a positive note here. You know, I had 2 really shitty movies with 2 really shitty soundtracks, but Xanadu, although a shitty movie, is a very viable and very worth your time soundtrack effort. A movie that was scored by a rock band and a rock musician, or at least, you know, a pop musician. That's I'm sorry. That was I mean, Olivia Newton-John. You can't beat her. She's fucking awesome. She's a solid talent. And that soundtrack came out, and it was everything. So I want to try to end on a positive note by saying, yeah.
A little known fact.
Well, yeah.
The guy that was the artist, the guy that played the artist in the movie.
Yeah.
His name was Michael Beck. His big hit was The Warriors. He was the leader of the Warriors.
Oh, shit. From the movie The Warriors.
From Clink, 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 Clink,
Clink, clink,
Warriors come out to play.
Yes. Nice. That's fucking awesome, dude. Ah, shit. Well, there you go. There's an extra fact for you. So, look, so far, you have 3 options. Go do this, because if you're younger than 30, you're gonna need context. So you're gonna have to go on YouTube. You have to check out Heavy Metal, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie. You're gonna have to check out Xanadu. You're gonna have to check out, what's the other one you said?
I've said a lot of them. Highlander
for Queen. There was one more. What was it? Was there one more?
Yes, I just can't remember one vision from. I see it's escaped me.
God dang it!
It is Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle. There you go. Oh, and Kiss Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. Watch that at your peril.
Don't forget, Can't Stop the Music.
Can't Stop the Music. You know what? I'll make it really easy for you. It's gonna take a little bit of work on my time, but that's how much I care about you. Links in the description, because you need to watch these horrible things to know what we're talking about and come up with your own conclusions. Okay, so I believe are we done with the show?
I don't know. Are we?
I think we are, and that's going to bring me to this point. At the top of the show, I mentioned that this was going to be the last of the music-themed shows that lead to the Aproxapalooza, the live music show. So, in saying that, I want you to stick around after the plugs, okay? And I want you to check out my good friend Orion's, his effort, okay? We're going to give you a little bit of a teaser. And my friend here does an amazing job with a bunch of Pink Floyd songs. You get to see a really cool video for a Pink Floyd medley. Medley. A lot of melody involved, but it's a medley. Okay? So stick around to the end of the show. Watch the video that he and I put together as a teaser for what you're going to see next week. I think you'll like it. I think you really like it. Beyond that, stick around. Don't hit pause or anything after this show. Keep watching for the music video. But after that, you got any plugs?
Next Friday night at Tyranny's in Louisville, I'll be jamming with a band called Solid Rock. A more of a classic rock band representing the '60s through today.
Right.
Female
Orion
guitar,
has
female keyboard player, male guitar player,
Right.
male bass player. Myself.
Right.
We'll be jamming a lot of stuff from Prince all the way to Asia.
So Orion's going to be playing in a band, a cover band called Solid Rock. They play a good 4-hour set. They do a lot of contemporary songs, all cover songs that you'll love. And that's going to be in what town?
Louisville.
Louisville.
At Tierney's.
At Tierney's. Links in the description so you can go and see Orion. If you're in Texas, go fucking see him. What else you got?
That's pretty much it, sis. You got anything?
I do have one plug. I do have a plug. It's go to patreon.com/Jamie French. And we need to get you guys, if you can, if you're willing to, dump a little bit of money into the next Transsexuals 3 DVD. For those that are keeping up with my porn career, I'm trying to raise funds for the next big venture. Okay, and I'm trying to do it completely independently. So, drop a few bucks if you can. There's no set limit or anything, and you can drop off anytime you want. But any help is appreciated. And here's the bonus thing: if you drop off $25 or more, you hit me up. I'll hook you up with a free pass to my website, get you some scenes you want. You hit me up personally on my email address that will be provided to you when you drop off $25, and we'll work something out. We'll keep it human, we'll keep it simple, and we'll make it worth your while. So that's my big plug, is the Patreon thing.
Gotcha.
So I think after that, yeah, that's it. We'll address questions, comments, and everything in the Friday shows. Check us out all week. Just keep an eye on the YouTube page. To keep up with us further, Orion is about to give you all of our information. So Orion, why don't you close this out?
I'll shut us down. The Approximate Podcast is a Dead Girl production. You can find me and JB on the Twitter at ApproxPod. That is APPROXPOD. You can find the Approximate Podcast on all media outlets: SoundCloud, iTunes, and the mothership, approximatepodcast.com. YouTubers, as always, like, share, and subscribe. Give them the burner line, Jamie.
Oh, the burner line is 817-673-3704. Again, that's 817-673-3704. What you do is you call up that line, you send us a text message, you drop us a line on the voicemail. You give questions, comments, and we will answer you on the show. It may be the Monday show, the flagship show. It may be our Friday show, Ask a Tranny, the questions and answers show. Either way, we will absolutely get back to you. So drop us a line there at 817-673-3704. I believe that's it, right? That's everything.
The Approximate Podcast, Ask a Tranny, The 900, The Void, all part of Dead Girl Productions. You know where to find us.
Fuck y'all. Bye.
Have a good night. Does anybody here remember Virulent? Remember how she said that we would meet again some sunny day? Vera, what has become of you? Does anybody else here feel the way I do? How I wish you were here. But we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, stranger in this town? Where are all the good times? Who's gonna show this stranger around? Oh, I need a dirty woman.